greetings from Moscow, where the Mexican national team has returned to their training base after what it must be said was a disastrous trip to Ekaterinburg. They trained this morning, regenerative work, I think both physical, but more importantly perhaps, Cirque, in spirit.
Yeah, you're going to have to recharge those batteries, especially mentally. Anytime you get dominated and owned like that, especially with this kind of stage, with all the world watching, when you were expected to win, you're expected to advance in a much more favorable manner, you have to reflect and you've got to come back with more.
If the 3-0 final result wasn't bad enough, Mexico will also lose Hector Moreno, one of the pillars of their back line for the matchup against Brazil. First, how big of a loss is that? And second, who replaces him?
I'm going to be quite frank with you. I don't think it's that big of a loss.
You haven't really rated him throughout the
No,
tournament.
his first 2 games were very subpar against Sweden. I mean, nobody had a good game. But Hector Moreno has left a lot to be desired. He's supposed to be a strong, physical, imposing center back. He's been none of that. The most imposing center back they had, the best defender, is Carlos Salazar, who up until the tournament was a right back. This may be an opportunity for Hugo Ayala to slide in. Hugo Ayala played very well against Germany. He's a player who's very composed on the ball. He's got decent pace. He's an outlet. He's a good organizer. I think it could be a benefit to this Mexican team.
One of the biggest question marks around this Mexican team entering the tournament were the outside back positions. Through the first 2 games, those spots held up pretty well. It wasn't the case against Sweden. Both Jesus Gallardo and Edson Alvarez leaving a lot to be desired. What's the answer there for Juan Carlos Osorio?
Well, it may be Miguel Layún. Who do you take out? Will it be Gallardo? I don't think so, because Juan Carlos Osorio really rates him, especially with his ability to win headers in the midfield. He sees how direct these teams can be. I think he'll keep Gallardo. I think it'll be Edson Alvarez. Edson Alvarez had a rough go of it versus Sweden. He's a young player. He's 20 years old. You don't know how he will bounce back mentally. I think we may see Miguel Layún there.
If there's another player that the Mexican press right now is focusing their attention on after the match against Sweden, it's the captain, Andrés Guardado. I thought he was really good against Germany. Maybe since then you could question just what he's been able to bring.
Well, when you say he's been really good against Germany, it's because of how much ground he covered versus Germany. He was all over the place. He was a good outlet. He protected the ball. He recovered. But he had an injury and he had a surgery right before the World Cup. You don't have surgery right before the World Cup unless it's absolutely necessary. I don't think he's fit. I don't think he's 100% fit. I think after the first game, once those endorphins wore out, once it was back to normal and it's just pure fitness, you started to see him leveling off. And it was evident versus Sweden. He gave the ball a ton. Transition came right down there, the center of the field for them. Andrés Guardado was a big part of that. We could see a change there.
Who?
Well, that's a good question. That's a very good question.
Jesus Molina would be the obvious answer. Juan Carlos Osorio left him off the team.
If you had to ask me right now and I had to bet, I would say Jonathan Dos Santos. He's the easy answer. But Juan Carlos Osorio has been itching to get Rafa Marquez on, and that is my worry.